to today's hangout of Digital Avenues. As you know, we usually talk about topics that of interest for entrepreneurs and small businesses. And today we have John Flackett. He's a web development consultant and expert. And we will talk today about a very interesting topic, which is the future of e-commerce. I would like to tell my audience how I met you, John. We met in an event here in Technology Park in Adelaide. It was organized by Polaris Center, and we would like to thank our friend Reese Moult for organizing that event. And John at that event gave a great presentation about the future of e-commerce, and he mentioned some very fresh points or topics related to the e-commerce, and we will talk about that today. Hi, John, how are you?
Hi, Sam. Thanks very much for having me.
Thanks for being with us today. And as I said, we met in the Future of Retail event, which was already talking about e-commerce as well. So give us a brief about what you think the future of e-commerce heading to.
A brief overview. Well, I think it's a very interesting topic because lots of people are now, well, you almost have to have an online store if you're selling goods, and I think people are going to have to start really using some of the techniques that these bigger companies do. So I really see, as an overview, I really see the future of e-commerce as being, being able to leverage the sort of technology that the Amazons and the eBays of the world have been using for a while, but without spending the millions of dollars that these guys do.
So tell us how the small businesses can do this.
Okay.
It's like a very difficult equation.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very difficult equation. I think what's very interesting and what's happening in this space at the moment is that some of these tools that Amazon and Google have been using, they're allowing other companies to use, other businesses to use. So Google has a prediction API that they released quite a long time ago that basically allows you to feed lots of data in it, and it makes predictions based on that data. And I think this is where we start seeing smaller businesses being able to leverage this kind of technology. And Microsoft have just released their machine learning environment online. And yeah, I think it's very, very, very exciting.
So if I'm a small business owner, or I have a shop or whatever, so how I can start using this, and what they are going to do for me, what kind of information I should give them, and what kind of output I should be expecting?
Okay, so I think if we just backtrack just very briefly, because I think if you're a small business, these tools are probably just out of reach still, because you do need quite a lot of expertise to use them. Even though I say that it's being brought to the masses, I think with the small businesses that already have a store or are thinking about a store, one of the most important things that they can do now is start making sure that they're gathering as much data as possible. Because even though they may not have the resources at the moment to leverage that, the more data that they can capture about how the customer uses their site, the purchase history, and even how they browse the site, what they put into the shopping cart and then discard, all of that kind of information, it's critical that they start gathering that. The other thing about that is that if you've got a bricks and mortar store and you're selling online as well, then you really want to be able to tally up the customers, just like Coles and Woolies do with their loyalty cards. If you can get some kind of loyalty program going so that if the same customers come in store and bought online, then you can start gathering all that data, because that will help you target. Now, most people get scared at this point and go, oh no, we're collecting customer data, it's terrible. But the reason that this is so important is because what we want to do is use this data to target those customers in a really nice way. So for instance, when you go to a website and an e-commerce store, and all these products are being recommended to you that you've got no interest in at all. For instance, if you're on a clothing store, and you're a male, and there's women's shoes coming up, then you're probably not going to be interested unless you're into that kind of thing. So if that
well, for your wife, man.
Yeah, well, there's two things going on there, isn't there? Either they know a lot about you because they know that you like women's shoes, or they know even deeper, they know that a woman in your life has got a birthday coming.
Okay, so now as we are talking about small businesses, and we would like to make it easier for them to go online, and there's a trend now of online e-commerce platforms for the small businesses like Shopify and BigCommerce. And what do you think about that against other solutions or content management systems like Magneto or something? What do you think about the two options?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, because I think if you look across IT as a whole, we're seeing a huge move to software as a service or online, and really there's really good reason for that. It's because if you can build software and build solutions that lots of people can use, you can spread the cost of that. So for instance, if you take a traditional e-commerce site, and let's start with that first before maybe moving on to the online space. If you take a traditional e-commerce site that you have to pay some developers to build and set up for you, and then set up your own hosting for, then you're really responsible for all of that. Now, I'm not saying that's not a great solution. It still is, and in lots of cases, there's a lot of good development shops that have a really good experience setting it up, tailoring those sorts of solutions, and also provide brilliant support. But I think that one of the problems with that model moving forward is the ongoing maintenance and cost, because basically you've built yourself a bespoke bit of software that you then have to maintain for the life. So if there's security issues, then you have to pay for that to be updated to get rid of that. If there's new plugins come out, you probably have to pay to get those.
If you need your website to be mobile friendly so Google can find your site like now, you have to build a new site as well, I guess.
That's right. So it's it's ongoing, and who knows what's going to happen in the future, that these things that you're going to need. So I think that really takes us then onto looking at, I guess, what this talks about is looking at the future and where you go from that. And you mentioned Shopify. What a great model. They've done really, really well straight out of the box, really. And in case people don't know what Shopify is an online e-commerce platform that you can build your website and store in, and you basically pay an ongoing fee to them, ranging from not very much to an awful lot. But what happens with that is that the Shopify product is then sold to lots of other people as well, and so really the whole the whole cost of developing and maintaining that software is spread over many people. And what's really nice about it is that if there is some security issue, then companies like Shopify, and let's not just think it's Shopify, there are other solutions out there as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's not just about Shopify, there is other online e-commerce platforms. I think there is BigCommerce and there is others. But as you said, it's great model because these companies will take care of the site for you as a business or a
Yep.
startup, and they will make the required updates. If there's security issues, they will take care of it. The hosting, they take care of the hosting. So you took off your list like many tasks that you might need to do for your website, and you give it to someone else to do it for you for a very reasonable cost. And I think you remember the example we had in the event, in the Retail Future event with our friend Wendy, when she talked about her website.
Yeah, because she'd paid a lot of money to get her bespoke websites
By the
built.
way, we will have Wendy as one of our real life examples about entrepreneurs starting their own businesses online and how they use the digital marketing techniques to expand their business. But let me just brief the others about that. She said that she built her website for $11,000, and every time she needs to do some kind of update to the site or do this or do that, she has to pay again for each one. But lately she moved to Shopify, and now she has most of the required updates or modifications done automatically for her, as one of the 1,000 are using the system. So
Yeah, and I think, the other thing about that, Sam, and it was really interesting hearing her talk about that, wasn't it? And I guess her enthusiasm for moving from a platform that she kind of owned to, a bit more of a distributed model, I guess. But I think the other thing was that the cost is then spread out. I think for a lot of small businesses, investing, maybe between $11,000 and $20,000 on a full-blown e-commerce platform is, it's hard to come up with that money.
it might be a barrier for the business to start selling online. If they have to spend this amount of money to start the website, keeping in mind they will have to pay more to keep it running.
Yeah, no, and it's a huge barrier. I believe that it's a huge barrier. And what these software as a service products do is it gives you an easy in. I think we haven't really spoken about this before, but I think that the other thing that's huge about these kind of products is that, normally they give away a free version, a trial version. So I think especially if you've got a bricks and mortar store, you're already selling and you want to go into the online space, what you can do, and I guess it's something that I recommend to a lot of people, is to start with 10 products. Start with 10 of your products that you think would do well online, and you can invest a minimal amount of money to get that store up, and just test it out, see if it works, and then you can go to a next plan that might give you 50 products. And so there's two things. One, you've got the cost, you can spread the cost out, and B, you can expand gradually, which I think is really nice in this space.
That's great. So let me ask you for this. Would you be happy to give one of our viewers or audience a 30-minute consultation on how to start their online business or how to build their online e-commerce site?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's what we do, and yeah, that'd be great. Help someone out.
That's great. So we will have someone. We will try to connect you with someone who would like to start his own online business, and we will be happy to have this as a consultation, a 30-minute consultation for free. But now let's get back to the e-commerce and the future of e-commerce and some of the interesting topics you mentioned.
Sorry, can I just before we do, I think one of the other things with these online models, well, just while we're talking about that in that space, is that some of these solutions are full-blown solutions. So you build your whole website in them, and you get the e-commerce with it. So if you're starting from nothing, if you don't have a website, you just start building your whole thing. But there's other solutions out there as well that allow you to integrate an e-commerce component into your existing website, and that's very powerful as well.
Well, That's really interesting because I think one of the points that very important now for the most of the entrepreneurs or startups, small businesses, they need to integrate their online solution with or online shop with their maybe CRM or with their financial software. And I think most of these online solutions integrate with at least one or two of each software you might need.
Yeah, I mean, from what we're seeing in the space now is that you can, a lot of these integration carts, they just plug into a page in your CRM. And then suddenly you've got a full-blown e-commerce solution, so you don't have to redesign from the ground up. And I think, going back to Wendy's example earlier, I think that's what she found frustrating. She built a site, found that it didn't really suit her needs, but instead of being able to just build up the e-commerce side and leave her website, she had to redevelop the whole lot again. And I think we're starting to talk about the future now, and I know you will move on to that very shortly. This is the future. The future is having something that does something really, really well, and then leave the other things. So, for instance, in your store, on your online site, have a CRM that looks after your web content really, really well. Then integrate that with an e-commerce platform or an e-commerce solution that then integrates into your CRM. Then integrate your e-commerce platform with a point of sale. And basically those things do what they do very well, but because of APIs, because of the way that these systems can start talking to each other through interfaces, you've got a whole solution. And the great thing is that if one thing goes wrong, I always liken it to a bit of proper hi-fi. If you buy an all-in-one CD player, well, not can you buy CDs anymore? But if you buy an all-in-one amplifier, CD player, radio with speakers, any of that fails, you have to really replace the unit. If you buy high-end hi-fi, the amplifier is separate from the CD player, from the speakers. If one of those components fails, or you want to upgrade one of those components, you've got a great upgrade path, and you don't have to replace the whole lot. So that's the way that I see software. That's the way that I see all IT solutions being like that. Have one thing that does something really, really well, but hopefully it connects to lots of other things, so you can leverage the technology in powerful ways.
Yeah, this is a very good recommendation or tip for everyone, because now when you are choosing your e-commerce solution, ask the question first: what kind of CRM solutions are you integrating with? What kind of financial software you are integrating with? So you can find out if this solution is integrating with your other softwares in place, or if you are going through this whole automation process of automating your CRM, your website, your e-commerce, your financials. So you have a chance to choose what products you can buy that can integrate together and give you that one whole solution that fits your requirements and needs. Now,
and it also, Sam, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, which is the cost barriers. You can build up gradually now. You don't have to build this all singing, all dancing, e-commerce platform that does everything. You can stage it and plan it, and gradually build on and make it more and more powerful. And that's fantastic, really.
I think this is in sync with what we are saying. When your business starts growing, having different solutions will give you that kind of ability to grow with each one, with either bigger plans or bigger features they offer, and you can start small and then grow with it. And keep this in mind when you choose the solution you are buying for your business, or you are subscribing for such a service for your business.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely what you should be planning.
Yeah, we talked a lot now about e-commerce for entrepreneurs and startups and small businesses, but now we need to talk about the juicy stuff that you mentioned, like eye recognition in the stores, and how e-commerce, or how the retail and e-commerce are integrating in the near future, or maybe already this is happening now.
Yeah, so I think, obviously this is what I'm very excited about. I think already we're seeing, well, where do you want me to start on this, really? Because it's such a, it's such a big topic with so many components.
Yeah, you gave us a great presentation for even, I think, longer than an hour, but we can do this now. But I would like to start with the part of eye recognition and how the e-commerce platforms are started to identify the customers either online or on shops, as you mentioned in the presentation.
Okay, so we'll go right to the right to the biometrics, right to the Minority Report.
Yeah,
let's do that. Okay, awesome. Okay, so the way that I see things going, and look, we're already seeing it. I think that the whole biometrics, the whole the way that embedded technology, if you like, as in chips that are embedded in your skin, is going to identify you and to allow you to purchase things. Look, we already see what you can do with your phone now that you couldn't do a couple of years ago. That Payway for the, you don't even have to type your PIN number in now. You just wave your magic plastic.
They want you to spend money without even punching phone numbers.
No, it's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah. I know. But
you do it with your phone or with your watch.
Yeah, and look at the technology now, the wearable technology. But for me, I guess as a bit of a futurist, that kind of bores me a little bit. I do like it. I love it, and I think it's brilliant that we have that. But I still see it as a huge barrier in the future. Because what happens if you forget your watch? What happens if you leave your phone behind? And I know, most people would probably have a heart attack with me saying that.
Life will stop, I guess. When you start.
That's right. It just stops. So it doesn't really matter for people. But, I think, there's been this talk about biometrics for quite a long time. So, being able to identify people, via unique parts of the body, like fingerprints and especially your eyes, so iris recognition, which is what you mentioned. And what's really interesting is how that technology's come on in such a short space of time, really. I mentioned in that talk that a American university can now scan an iris at about 40 feet. That's quite a long way away. Now, I'm not saying that
you don't have to be in the shop. They will.
That's right.
Not even in the shop.
They can get you when you park your car.
Yeah.
But and
it's very obvious. I think with a technology Apple has, I'm not sure of the name, unfortunately, I forgot the name, but they can detect your phone in a range of certain shop, and when you come closer to that range, they can send you a push notification or an SMS saying that this shop has an offer now on the product that you like.
Well, that's right. I mean, I probably, there's some interesting technologies, as you know, around this area now with, companies.
iBaking.
Yeah. So companies like Cisco, I know are working, and they have new products out now that, track phones within shops to see where you're spending most of your time. Not that Cisco's doing that, but people are putting these systems in place in their retail outlets to really get as much information as possible. And I think this whole thing about retina scanning, it's really for ease. It's so that these that if you're in retail, you can find out more about what your customers like and don't like, but also just make it easy for them, because we're all getting lazier. We really are. And
yeah, with a lot of technology around us now, as you said, we are getting more lazy because you don't want to punch 4 numbers when you buy something. You pay with your card to make it easier for you to spend more money.
Well, that's right. I mean, Sam, I have a great example of being so lazy today. My internet stopped working. I sent a text message to get someone to switch the router on and off. So, that, like, how lazy is that, really?
Yeah,
because it's in another room. So, why would I want to move when I can send a text message to get someone to do that? And and the whole point of this is that, if we can go out, if we can uniquely identify ourselves with, say retina scans, then doesn't matter whether we've got our wallet. And people get scared about this. The reaction that some people had when I was talking about this a couple of weeks ago, and it was, I get it quite a lot when I'm talking about artificial intelligence and I'm talking about, big data and all this information that's being captured. But I think what people don't really think about is how much it will empower, how much it empowers you. Because imagine if you've broken down on the side of the road, you don't have any petrol, you don't have your wallet, and you can use your biometrics to buy petrol and get you out of a difficult situation. There's hundreds and hundreds of examples where, just because you haven't got anything on you, it doesn't actually stop you doing things. And I think
one of the solutions now available here in Australia now is Combank offers you to use your mobile in front of the ATM machine instead of the card.
Yeah,
so if you lose your card, you can use your mobile in front of the ATM machine to get some cash.
Yeah, and it's brilliant because, it's very hard to ask your friend if you can borrow their ATM card, but it's a lot easier to ask your friend if you can borrow their phone. So,
yeah, really. But no, it's not gonna work because your friend might use his phone after you finish.
well, that's true.
You have to uninstall the software at all. Anyway, thanks, John, for your time today, and we discussed the topic of e-commerce, the future of the e-commerce, and it's a big topic. We talked about a lot of things, and I'm looking forward to have you again as our guest and talk more about maybe big data next time, and we'll be clear about the topic of big data. I know you like this topic, and you can talk about it for a long time, as you did in the presentation, and it was really interesting. The points that you mentioned in the presentation. Thanks, John, and looking forward to have you again as our guest in Digital Avenues Hangouts. Thanks for your time today. Bye.